Hey YouTube, as you may have noticed if you're one of my regular subscribers, I've picked up a new camera. So today we're going to put it through its paces with a leather carving tutorial. I've drawn some Viking knotwork and we're going to get going on that right away. You'll need a marble slab preferably and your chosen artwork. Some vegetan leather. Thicker is better, but I'm using something thin here. Some water and a sponge. Tracing film, which you can buy in sheets. Or you can buy a roll and cut off bits, some tape, a poly mallet. The yellow ones work fine, I just happen to have one of these Stolman branded ones. A strop for sharpening your swivel knife, and the accompanying rouge. You can buy the strop pre-made or make one yourself like I did. A swivel knife. I like the finer point swivel knife, it's good for everything, I don't ever change it. A beveler. I use a small smooth beveler. There's textured ones of various sizes and larger smooth ones, but I always tend to use the smaller one. I have 3 sizes of backgrounder here. The middle one is great for those large areas, but the one on the right is all you really need to start out, and all I used for quite a while. A stylus. I tend to use this end for transferring my image from tracing film to leather. And a scoop that I'll show you what I do with later. A pencil or other writing tool to transfer your image onto your tracing film, and an eraser in case you don't know how to use a pencil. So the first thing you should do is wet your leather down. Get a good coat on it. You want it to saturate, but not too much. Then you set it aside to start drying. And while it's drying, you can begin tracing out your design. I tape down my tracing film so it doesn't go all over the place while I'm trying to match my lines. And then I just work my way through it. You can print onto tracing film with a laser printer, either by taping the film to a regular piece of paper and feeding it through your printer, or by buying overpriced sheets cut specifically for your printer. Now, I didn't do all the extra little lines on that because I'm just going to work my way through it and carve them in. Now, I really fast forwarded this a lot. That leather probably sat there for 20-25 minutes. You want it to have a wet core and to be cool but mostly dry to the touch on top. Some people case their leather, which is to put your leather when wet inside a plastic bag and let it sit so it saturates through it evenly. I've done it a couple times and haven't really noticed any difference. Maybe it's more important on larger leather carving projects. Most of mine are small, or at least fairly quick. Now it's time to sharpen our swivel knife. Jeweler's rouge should go on one way, and then the swivel knife should go the other way. What I do usually is put the jeweler's rouge on both ways, and then a bunch one way, and then pull the knife back in the opposite direction. It's always worked for me. Now, this is your last chance to correct any mistakes you made in your tracing process. There were a few lines that I did that weren't very even, and I tried to correct them with the swivel knife. If it feels like it's getting dull, just hit it with the strop again and you're good to go. Some of the tight corners take some practice, and when you're pulling a line back towards another line, you should be careful not to go too far and pull right through the other line. You can always turn around and finish off the line from the other direction. Almost done here. Some careful, tight carving. And then I'll turn it around and just make sure I got that detailed. See? There we go. And then I just guess my way through this cross pattern that I've been putting on all my knotwork. 3 one way, through the other way. Now, once I get all the way around the design with this pattern, I'll just quickly run my swivel knife along a couple of the edges that were screwed up by doing this. it pushes the leather out in a couple spots, so I just quickly rerun my knife and fix it up. Now this is where I'm going to do my bevels. So you want your knot to go under the top, and so the bevel is going to make it look like that. I always do my bevels before I do my background, because the bevel could interfere with how your background looks if you bevel just off the edge and into the background area of your design. Now I'll stamp it out, and then once I've stamped it all out, I'll often just run my beveler back and forth across it to smooth it out a bit. It takes a steady hand and some practice, but you want nice even taps that overlap each other. Once I think I've got all my bevels done, I do a quick once over of my knot to make sure everything's going under, 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 and that everything's beveled appropriately. Now it's on to backgrounding. I go all the way around the interior edge with my largest tool possible. And then fill in the middle. There weren't a lot of small parts in this knot, so I didn't have a lot of use for my other two background sizes, but I did get to them eventually. If only I could background this fast regularly. It can get a little tedious. At this point, I decide to put some more water on the piece because it's gotten a bit dry. I've been tooling for a while. I always put water on the whole piece, just in case there's some discoloration from only watering one portion of it. I'll also remind you that after wetting your leather, you can't just go back to stamping it right away. You do have to let it dry a bit, just like you did at the beginning. I also break out one of my smaller tools finally, so I can get into some of the tight spots on this design. After I finish this up, I'll just double check any little spots I think need to be touched up with my backgrounder. And I'll also use my smaller tools to get into all the little corners and make sure that they're crisp. See how these points are just flaring just a little bit? I want to take care of that with my small backgrounder. And I find a couple more and do those too. Then I just check out my backgrounding for any spots I think could be better. So this spot could definitely be better. I take a moment to try and fix that up a little bit. A lot of people like to bevel around the whole outside of their piece. I definitely do as well, but I don't use the beveler usually. This is where I use that scoop stylus. I like a more subtle edge around the outside of my design. After I've gone around the edge, I'll take a look at any other spots that I think could get beveled, like the eye and some of the other parts. A quick once over to see if there's anything else, Yeah, a little spot there I can do. And then we're all finished. Please thumbs up or share this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for new content.